Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro are cucks.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Colin Kaepernick thing. All right. Don't you think that at least some good has come out of him doing that, where it sort of raised awareness for police brutality? Just put it to the forefront. Let people understand that this is a problem.
No. Joe Rogan is wrong on multiple fronts. I mean, the idea that police brutality in the United States is anything other than sort of like an anecdotal, episodic afterthought, and that systemic racism or waycism, like all of that is just, as we know, sort of a ruse concocted by far left psychos who have become generously funded by the establishment in recent years. Do you think that Ben Shapiro is going to have a similarly hot take? I mean, we kind of have an idea of that he's not going to agree that Colin Kaepernick's perspective is positive, particularly for America. But can you guess what his response is going to be akin to, and why is it going to be the most boomer thing you've ever heard? We'll continue, but here we go.
No.
Not at all?
No, because I think that he made a serious error, which is that the most positive movements in American social history have been ones that don't kneel for the flag, but say, in the name of the flag, you should do X. Right? So Martin Luther King said, in the name of the flag, civil rights are necessary. Booker T. Washington said, in the name of the flag, civil rights are necessary. They didn't say the American flag stands for racism and Jim Crow. They said the American flag stands for something beyond that. Live up to the American flag.
But here's...
Okay, but... I mean, Malcolm X would have said some similar shit to that. See how out of touch the average conservative, lukewarm take is? Okay, so he's correct in pointing out that Colin Kaepernick is doing no service to America through what he did, through kneeling for the flag in the name of Black Lives Matter and basically Nike products, Nike product placement. But he's focusing his critique on the fact that he knelt for the flag and disrespected the flag, rather than him lying, essentially, lying about the nature of so-called police brutality, lying about the nature of it in terms of how it breaks down by race, in order to basically just dupe Americans into buying more Nike so that he can add another zero onto his income, and then still claim to be oppressed, even though he was adopted by some Fond du Lac, Wisconsin family and grew up pretty luxuriously compared to virtually half, if not most, if not all of the white people that I've ever known. But, so as usual, it's just grug-brained, lukewarm kind of boomer takes,
Here's my trashing the American flag is endemic of police brutality is, first of all, it's bullshit. But second of all, it's actually divisive on an issue that does not need to be divisive. Nobody is in favor of police brutality, nor should anyone be.
Right. Here's the counterpoint.
Right. So he's granting the left's premise that police brutality is a hyper thing, I guess, which this is something that I see conservatives do a lot, is that they'll start off strong by denying the left's dishonest premise, right? But then later on, they'll grant every single fucking premise that they throw down, thus ceding ground to the left and losing the debate, right? So if you start off strong and you deny a dishonest premise there's systemic police brutality in the United States that targets black people, cops are just safari hunting through the hood, just hunting black people down because they're just so racist and they just hate brown skin, right? That's the lie that's being told, and so he'll deny that premise, but then sort of oh, well, no one supports police brutality. Well, what police brutality? You just got done rightfully saying that it's barely a problem. So why are you it's just it makes no sense,
Point. Why is it trashing the American flag to take a knee? Isn't that in some ways just another gesture of respect? You're not doing what everybody wants you to do, which is put your hand over your heart, but you're doing something that's also respectful and silent. You're not standing up and going, fuck the American flag, fuck these people. You're actually taking it to another level of respect. You're taking a knee. You're bending the knee.
Okay, it was disrespecting the flag though, because he's saying that it's symbolic of waycism, systemic waycism, a systemic system of institutional structural waycism, right? So that is big time disrespecting the flag. And then he had to like backpedal. I think they'll go over this later on in the conversation, but he had to backpedal it after he talked to like a veteran, right? It's all optics, right? And Joe Rogan is, I guess, too blazed, and his testosterone has been lowered from blazing too much. That he's just, I guess, playing devil's advocate or ceding points to the left that are just wrong.
Knee, whether you're doing it for something that you want to talk about later, saying I'm not going to stand up because this is my way of acknowledging the fact that there have been a lot of people that have been mistreated by police and murdered by police, and this is how I do it. This is how I treat.
There have not been a lot of people murdered by police. That is a lie. The most that's happened is like careless or incompetent cops, like accidentally, like arguably, like accidentally killing people. Like Breonna Taylor, that was I mean, like we could probably classify that as just sort of like wrong place, wrong time. Like, sorry, you were incredibly unlucky, and also you were dating like a drug dealer who shot at cops or whatever. So, and he's granting all this fucking shit to a group that is just just dishonest, like fundamentally dishonest, right?
Racist
Losing.
police killing black people. I
No.
take that moment to take a knee. Like, how is that so disrespectful?
Because it's
Like, how is
lies.
It's a silent gesture. It's not you.
A silent gesture to lie to the American people in a way that's now getting people killed, and so he can make money off of Nike product placement. That's why, dude.
Uniform. Like, it's not.
Why can't I get on this goddamn show? Jesus.
Not doing this thing that everybody else is doing, but you're doing something that's very respectful. You're taking a knee.
Well,
no,
that's certainly not the way that he intended it when he first started that way. I mean, if you want to interpret it that way, you can.
How do you know what his intention was?
Because he literally talked about it. I mean, he said that America
he wanted to highlight that.
He said America is a systemically racist country. He wore socks with pictures of cops as pigs on them. Oh yeah.
I didn't know.
Oh yeah. And I mean, Colin Kaepernick is a terrible spokesperson for this movement.
No, he's a perfect spokesperson for a movement that explicitly says that they're a radical leftist, Marxist, anti-traditional family wanting to destroy heteronormativity, destroy the nuclear family, effectively destroy Western civilization, destroy America. Like, again, it's just drug-brained, lukewarm takes from these people that are supposedly on the right. This guy's just not on the right. There's other stuff that he says in this clip. I'm yakking a little bit too much. We'll get to it.
Like,
these should many be people that have taken a knee. And don't you think that if you just look at the gesture itself, isn't taking a knee even more respectful than standing with your hand over your heart?
I mean, then I imagine millions of us would routinely take a knee for the American flag. I mean, the idea
wouldn't, if that was the thing you had to do.
If the idea, but again,
and this guy decided to stand and put his hand over his heart. Really, it's sort of a traditional thing where we're arguing over.
Well, I mean, it isn't the way that it was originally expressed. It's sort of morphed over time to the point where it doesn't necessarily mean what he originally meant it to mean.
It's not like he's going, fuck you, while everybody else has their hand over their heart in silence.
But
he's taking a knee.
He did mean it as an FU. I mean, there's no question that's what he meant it as. And it wasn't even...
That is definitely true. And, yeah, see, I don't really... I take more of a Carlin sort of stance on the flag itself. I mean, like, leave symbols to the symbol-minded, and plus it's made in Korea. It's a piece of cloth made in Korea or China, and you boomers, like, wear, American flag boxers that you, like, pee dribble and poop stain all over and fart on. It's just like... the flag itself, I mean, like, okay, like, the way that Colin Kaepernick trashed the country is that he lied to the country. He lied to the country about the nature of the so-called police brutality. That's the disrespect. That's the disrespect to the country, right? Like, they always just get it half wrong, half right, these conservatives.
Even over something that actually made sense. Like, you understand during the civil rights movement, when people are raising the black power fist at the Olympics to say, like, we're fighting for civil rights, Jim Crow is still in operation around the country.
Right.
Colin Kaepernick taking the knee to symbolize that America's police are systemically brutal and racist is just, it's factually untrue, and to attribute that to the American flag is really kind of nasty.
But he's not
Okay, cool. So he at least calls it out as factually untrue, but prior to that, he was extolling the virtues of the Black Power fist. So that kind of goes to show how America's modern conservative movement is. That's great. Black Power fist up my butt.
A statistician, right? So he's looking at things like the Eric Gardner case, or which is a terrible one, right? It
was a Latino cop and or Italian or something like that, who accidentally or like negligently killed the dude who had some prior health issues, just like Floyd. Like, but you guys keep drudging it up and you keep acting like it was murder, right? Like, just lay off the ganj, man.
Like when the guy's just selling loose cigarettes and they're strangling him in front of the store.
Resisting arrest.
You see something like that, and that motivates him to do that. And I know what you're saying, that these are anecdotes, and this doesn't encompass the full statistics of cops versus black men and how what is exactly is happening. But that's not his area.
But like, I just blazed and like let down all my boundaries, and like, you got to look at it like, person to person, man. Just,
But that's expertise anyway. He has an
I
issue.
agree with that. So making him a spokesperson for a movement where he has no expertise is a weird thing to do. There are plenty of people who talk about this with actual statistical
But if you're
knowledge.
Dude, he's a great spokesperson for it. He's a grug-brained athlete. He's like a low IQ mulatto athlete who likes to make a lot of money with selling product. He's a great spokesperson to rabble-rouse a bunch of Blakes to go do fucked up violence in the streets and make a fat stack of money to funnel into the Democratic Party. What the hell are you talking about? He's a perfect He's the perfect spokesperson for a terrorist movement like that. What are you talking about?
Famous person, and you decide to take this big stand publicly like that.
After you get benched for Blaine Gabbert, After you get benched for Blaine Gabbert and take millions of bucks from a major corporation currently oppressed.
Is that the
Blaine
guy
Gabbert was the guy?
him?
Yeah, the immortal Blaine Gabbert, the Hall of Famer Blaine Gabbert, who played
about sports.
No, Blaine Gabbert was an NFL quarterback who sucked. I mean, he was terrible, and they benched Colin Kaepernick for him. And it was after he got benched that he started doing the kneeling for the American flag. Which is a pretty good gig.
Sports broadcaster who knows nothing about sports.
Listen,
people try to talk to me about.
If he'd explain,
Jamie makes fun of me all the time.
If he'd explain it.
Okay, well, he keeps saying, well, yeah, he's not a statistician, man. Like he wants to speak out against like anecdotal like snafus at the police department, man. Like he just doesn't know any better. Like, right? Well, that's why he shouldn't be doing that in the first place. It's not that he's a bad spokesperson for a corrupt, money-grubbing corporation like Black Lives Matter that fucking funnels money into 501c3 groups so that they can, organize street thugs to go fuck people up. Like, I don't know. When are they gonna touch on that? Like, no, Colin Kaepernick sucks because of the following reasons. Like,
the way that you're explaining it, meaning we're not living up to the American flag, which is why I'm kneeling.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be arguing with it. He didn't explain it that way. That wasn't the way it went down.
But it's just him. What do you think about there's certain guys?
He wouldn't be arguing with it, even though it's a false premise that cops are endemically racist toward black people. This dude is just not a conservative.
That like lock arms during the American flag.
I have a problem with that.
Okay, locking arms okay, but kneeling's bad.
Well, no. Well, the way that he characterized his kneeling was bad.
Okay,
meaning
but what about other people that kneel?
If they characterize it differently, it means a different thing.
Okay,
right. I mean,
I see what you're saying.
Meaning like what it originally was is what it was. I'm not going to retcon what he meant at the time.
He was the first to do it, right?
Right, and then he made millions of dollars for his bravery. Again, I don't think it takes a whole hell of a lot of bravery to be benched for Blaine Gabbert, take a knee, make millions of bucks from Nike.
I wish I knew who this Blaine Gabbert fellow was.
It's stunning and brave.
Terrible QB rating is all you really need to know. Not a good quarterback is the answer.
So is Colin Kaepernick? I mean, I don't. As an athlete, is he not good? Like
he's a terrific athlete. He's just not a very good quarterback.
Okay.
So I mean, he had one fantastic season. He led the 49ers to the Super Bowl, and then like a lot of kind of one-hit wonders in sports, people kind of figured him. Sports
are for people that are, I guess, just closeted homosexuals and just grug cavemen. It's just a stupid distraction. It's a distraction to get people distracted away from actually having an honest conversation about anything, so that it's a distraction at Thanksgiving you know,
amount
bucket,
season 2, and his QB rating started to decline.
yada, yada,
But I
yada.
mean, look, bottom line is that making him the spokesperson of a movement where he really, I don't like the idea that you are going to attribute to all of America a sin that is, number one, anecdotal in nature,
Okay.
and number two, cannot be attributed to America's highest ideals. You're doing it wrong. If you want to fight police brutality, say America is not living up to her promises. Say that.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Okay, so he's an anti-American Israel first shill. Like, you hear that. You heard that, right? He's granting the premise to BLM that the United States is not living up to its promise. Because of what? Instances of police brutality, so-called, that he admits are anecdotal. This is why conservatives are so useless. They make no the modern conservative movement is so incoherent. It's just ridiculous, dude. Or this guy is a terrible spokesperson for conservatism.
The promise of America, there is a way to convince. Every successful social movement in American history has done this. The gay rights movement did this. The gay rights movement said, listen, everybody in America has been guaranteed a certain level of freedom. And we're not being guaranteed that level of freedom, right? The freedom to pursue happiness is not being guaranteed to us. We're just asking that we be left alone. Leave us alone. And it took time, but most Americans came around to that perspective.
The conservative Ben Shapiro, the Orthodox Jewish conservative Ben Shapiro, thinks that the gay rights movement was a successful social movement, that we weren't living up to our promises to the LGBTQPIA alphabet soup movement, which was started by, someone with a small hat named Allen Ginsberg, who was an open supporter of NAMBLA, right? Look him up. Really disgusting dude. Dude's granting yet another premise to the left as a supposed conservative. He's granting the idea that the gay rights movement was a good thing. Like, what the hell is that, dude? This is why we're losing.
The same thing holds true on race. The same thing holds true on police brutality. If you make an invocation and you say to Americans, as Americans, I know that over time my fellow Americans are going to come to realize that they need to live in accordance with the fundamental principles that founded the country. Mm-hmm. That's unifying. To say that the American flag is inherently non-unifying is really bad. Like, to the point where you now have college campuses where if you fly an American flag, there have been cases where people are asked to take it down because it's too divisive. Like that.
So yeah, the boomer con take is that you are disrespecting Chinese or Korean product, like this American flag, piece of cloth, by protesting it in any way. It doesn't matter if what you're saying is truthful or accurate. That seems to be an afterthought. It's like, if you disrespect this song or this pledge or this creed or this piece of cloth, then we start kvetching. But it's again, it's like secondary is our considerations of, is this movement that he's protesting for legitimate? Is he telling the truth? Is this actually standing up for something righteous? And the answer to all of that is no. Colin Kaepernick was not doing that. And he's barely focusing on that. He's just focusing on, like, the kneeling, like, what for the flag. Like,
that
does seem crazy. When you say it's anecdotal, that he's reacting to something that's anecdotal, but there's many of those anecdotes, and you see them over and over again. The problem is,
yeah, because the media keeps, like, deceptively editing and leaving certain facts out, and, like, a group like Now This can put, like, heart-wrenching, like, spooky music in the background of the video and put their fucking manipulative linguistic propaganda in captions underneath the video. That's what Rogan is responding to right now. He's responding to that phenomenon right now, having seen, like, his feed blown up with all these, like, Vox, Mike, Now This, Guardian, all that fucking propaganda that's meant to just lie to you and make you think there's a way bigger problem than there is.
They're so prevalent. There's
No,
so
they're
many
not.
videos.
So
my friend Joe Schilling is a kickboxer, and his entire
Schilling.
Instagram has been dedicated to bad cops over the last few months, just showing all these videos of bad cops. I mean, yes, it's anecdotal, but goddamn, there's a lot of anecdotes.
Well, there are 330 million police interactions every year. So,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Now, what was the initial...
Right, so, yeah, Ben Shapiro's correct there, and he doesn't really follow up. Yeah, there's like 300 million police interactions, and with in the age of ubiquitous smartphone camera usage, right? People are going to get some videos. A lot of times they're going to be turned on midway through the encounter, so we didn't see, like, for instance, maybe the dude swung on the cop beforehand, or swung on somebody else, or whatever, was resisting arrest for way longer before the encounter than what you see in the video, and maybe the cop just got fed the fuck up and just body slammed the dude. There's plenty of instances where I guarantee you this dude Schilling, appropriate name for his friend there, this dude Schilling's profile, I guarantee you if I go there, I'm going to find a whole bunch of deceptively edited fucking videos that don't show the whole story, and the caption's going to be deceptive. It's not going to fucking tell the whole story. I guarantee you that's the shilling that will be taking place on Mr. Schilling's page.
Interaction what was his motivation to do that? Was there a single instance of police brutality that caused him to do that?
I'm trying to remember which season he did this. This would have been 3-4 years ago. So I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was the Michael Brown situation, because I remember there were protests in the NFL over Michael Brown, right, which was actually a bad anecdote. Like, that was a bad one for people to pick. People were doing the hands up, don't shoot. That didn't actually happen.
Right. He actually tried to grab the gun from the cop.
The gun went off in the car. He charged the cop by witness testimony. All the witnesses were black. You know,
the Eric Gardner one is much cleaner, right?
I resubscribe to blacks.com. I'm not a racist.
Well, the Eric Garner one is cleaner in terms of police brutality. It's not super clean in terms of racism or even cause of death. So this is one of the problems.
Yes, police brutality.
Police brutality, for sure. Yes. It's kind of like, it's actually, I'm warning people now that what happens in the George Floyd case with Derek Chauvin, like, they should be warned up front. I want this police officer punished. I think everyone wants the police officer punished. The defense is going to make a case.
He's going to be punished with, like, manslaughter, and if it's not first-degree murder and or, like, death penalty, like, following up with, or like torture followed with death penalty, they're going to riot, okay? It's just more and more excuses to riot. So he's just, again, he's doing more conciliatory gestures to the left. It's all he's been doing this entire time. It's just been nothing but that.
That the police officer is not responsible for George Floyd's death in exactly the same way that the New York police officers made the case that they were not responsible for Eric Garner's death. And the autopsy, the initial autopsy tends to support that. So what that suggests is not that Derek Chauvin is good or clean or decent, but if you're going to charge him with murder, that's a hard charge to make, just on a legal level. So I'm warning people now of that, because the next move will be, obviously the system is racist. If Derek Chauvin doesn't get convicted of first-degree murder, it's going to be very hard to convict him. I think they're charging him with second. It's going to be very difficult to convict him of second.
He has to be charged with second, right? Because at first would mean premeditated.
Right, third. Well, he was charged with third originally, and then Keith Ellison, the AG over there, elevated it to second degree. I think that's very difficult to make the case for second degree murder.
What were you pulling up, Jamie? You had something you want to say?
The dude's going to get, like, several years maybe, something like that. But plus the tax evasion that he and his wife did. That's going to be a doozy for him. It's never enough. I don't know why he's sitting there like,
oh, trust me, I think he should go to jail. I'm a good one. I'm one of the good, compassionate, conservative.
I had the part of when this actually started in 2016. He started let's keep doing that. He started by sitting, and people started getting video of him sitting as the preseason was starting. So he then talked to a teammate. They discussed kneeling was the best thing for him to do at the time.
Do you remember? Do you know which incident kind of kicked it off?
That's why I was going to play the video of it. That's why I had here the actual first video of him talking about him donating $1 million to the local community. I think he had guns drawn on him, which is probably what started.
Okay.
But here's
why.
And I've been very blessed to be in this position and be able to make the kind of money I do. And I have to help these people. I have to help these communities. It's not right that they're not put in the position to succeed or given those opportunities to succeed. And as far as taking a knee tonight, Eric, as well as myself, had a long conversation with Nate Boyer, who is a military vet, and we were talking to him about how can we get the message back on track and not take away from the military, not take away from pride in our country, but keep the focus on what the issues really are. And as we talked about it, we came up with taking the knee because there are issues that still need to be addressed, and it was also a way to try to show more respect to the men and women that fight for this country.
Okay, so that's better, Rob.
So yeah, I'm trying to raise awareness of the tough and rumble streets of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, you know what I'm saying? You heard? Feel me?
Obviously. Can you
But that's him.
Scroll down for a second, because I think
But that's 2016.
Dude,
So
so
here's
the
look
first.
Dude, that's optics for grug brains like you, Toe Rogan. That's what that is. It's just basically like lying so that guys like you will say exactly what you're saying on your platform.
this one.
Reaction to that.
Okay, look at the one right below that. Okay, this is the one I'm talking
Okay,
about.
I'm not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people
Yep.
of color. To
That's
me,
the sentence right there.
So that's
Yep.
a different.
The video
a
we just
different
watched
tenor.
was 4 or 5 days after.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days after. That's the less optics friendly version, and probably the real version of what he and the Black Lives Matter movement thinks. And Joe Rogan, look at how perplexed he is because he's blazed all the time. You know, yeah, I wonder, is Black Lives Matter the group that explicitly says they hate America because we're systemically racist? Yeah, do they want to tear down the country? Grug confused. Grug not know whether system racist. Grug not know whether Black Lives Matter bad or good. Grug beat rock with taekwondo kick. Grug smoke weed.
After these statements were made. So he said he changed after talking to someone. He made changes to what was going on.
Right. So the initial explanation is the one that I was talking about.
Okay, so he revised his feelings on it.
And then,
Well, that
not to
seems
my, he kind
No,
of,
he didn't.
Should have started with this.
Kaepernick had guns drawn on him.
That wasn't a revision. That was the original thought. The optics-friendly revision was the news clip that you just saw of him saying, "Yeah, I'm trying to respect our men and women in law enforcement in the country while keeping the message on the systemic systemizationalism, the institutionalization of the black man." You know what I'm saying? Like,
and by cops for
bullshit.
being one of the only black guys in his town. Yeah, that seems super reasonable, what he said there about having
the second
respect
take,
for
Being the only black person in this town, okay, that's a salacious, fake, clickbait, fucking just lying. I mean, he probably, let's actually figure out what he did, like, before we find this
Talking
out.
military.
enforcement,
Yeah, that's
or
better.
military, rather, yeah.
Although he recently released a video that sort of goes back to the original explanation, suggesting that America is endemically and systemically racist, which is a problem.
That's a hot take right now. It's good. It's very popular.
Yeah, that's
No.
the big one.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
No, that's an ice cold, frigid take that is not based in reality. So, I don't know, that concludes that one. If you like what I'm doing, follow me on Alt Tech, because I feel like I'm going to get banned any day now. Follow me on BitChute, follow my Discord. I got fucking Minds, I got the Parlors, I got your old fun, there's BitChute again, whoops. I got, some Gab, but I also got a Subscribe Star, and a fellow guy named Daniel Durst just subscribed me on here because my Patreon was taken down, by the way. So that's why I had to get one of these. And a dude named Adion. Shout out to these two dudes for being my subscribers. If I get up to 5, then I can finally start getting some payments from this bad boy. So yeah, if you like what I'm doing, throw down at least $1 or $2, and I'd heavily appreciate it. I mean, I'll snail mail you some stickers if you like. They're cool. They pop. They're like holographic stickers. I think they look really cool. And I swear I will very, very quickly get a microphone here, and it'll sound a lot better. And maybe I'll probably figure out a camera situation once I get actually set up here. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, subscribe, share the video out, and until next time.